Hello, my name is Rick Nelson, and I'm a car enthusiast. I looked at various engines, and I've done research on my topic for the last 2 weeks. What I'll be informing you guys today about is various engines that are in production model cars today. And so I'd like to first say, would you guys believe me if I told you that there's a car out there that runs strictly on air? It gets 200 kilometers, and it only costs $2 to fill up. How about an engine out there that runs on anything you want to put in it, from kerosene, gasoline, diesel, peanut oil, rocket fuel, anything you want. Well, there's such engines out there, and they're on real cars that are out in the world. So today in my speech, I will be telling you about the top 3 engines of the world. After that, I'll be telling you about the not-so-common engine. And finally, I will be telling you about the reason why they're not the top 3 engines. So first, I'd like to start off and talk to you about the internal combustion engine. As many of these engines fall underneath this category, an internal combustion engine uses fuel's energy to power a piston to turn the wheels or a shaft. And this fuel could be diesel, but it could be various amounts of fuel. And these engines come in different sizes. So these internal combustion engines, I'm going to refer to them as ICE because they're internal combustion engines. So here's an example of what an internal combustion engine is. As you can see right there, it takes in the fuel. And this one is actually a gasoline engine because it has a spark plug. And it uses the energy from the fuel to turn a crankshaft or the exhaust. So now with that said, I'm going to tell you guys about the top 3 engines of the world. And I guess you guys I'm pretty sure you guys would assume that gasoline is the #1 engine of the world. Yes, the gasoline engine runs only on gasoline. If you put something else in it, it will damage the engine, so don't do that. Don't put diesel in there. This engine is the universal engine of the world. They use it for practically all purposes, but mostly on cars. And with this engine, it is the #1 engine for consumers because of the way you get your gasoline and the ability of how quiet it is. So, diesel engine is another ICE engine. It's the same as the gasoline engine in the way it works, except that there's a few different components on there. It is loud. It puts out a lot of smoke. It's more environmentally friendly than a gasoline engine, but it's more designed for more heavy-duty use. You can also put propane and other things in this engine, but it mostly uses diesel. So with the first 2 said, I'm going to tell you about a hybrid engine. These 2 engines, a gas hybrid engine basically runs like this. It has electric motors that propel it from the 1st and 2nd gear. After that, then the engine takes over and charges the battery pack. The reason why this is a beneficial engine is that it saves fuel at idling and it doesn't pollute the air as much. So those are the top 3 engines of the world. Now I'll be telling you about some not-so-common engines that are out there. Here's a description of what a hybrid engine looks like. As you can tell, it does have a dual engine. And here's a picture of even a truck that's hybrid. So some of these other engines are ICE engines as well. So I just want to put that out there. Most are not in production, but most are now not in production, but some were 100 years ago. Okay. And at the end of my speech, I'll be telling you why they're not. The first engine I'll be talking about is the turbine engine. And the turbine engine is now found only on jets and helicopters. And it ran on any fuel that was combustible. You could put anything into it. It was low maintenance, never required an oil change, and tests showed that it would last past 300,000 miles with little to no maintenance. So what they did is Chrysler, they had one of these, and during production, they took it down to Mexico, and the president of Mexico didn't believe them, so he brought down a bottle of tequila, put it in the gas tank, and it started right up. So you can put anything into this engine. Here's a picture of it. There's the engine right there. There's an example of a turbine engine on the top. I have a video, but it does not work. I'm sorry. Okay, next engine is a steam engine. This was the #1 engine in the world prior to the internal combustion engine. It was made in 1705 by Thomas Newcomb. And there was only 2 car companies out there. One was really famous, and it was Stanley Steamer Car Company. And yes, the car company did take over the name, but Stanley Steamer was originally a car company. And the way, this is how it works. Steam would go in on one side, pressurize the piston, another this and that, motion, make the car run. Oh, I have a video of what a Stanley steamer is, and I would like to share it with you. So give me one quick second. Okay. It works. Yes, it is. It's going to work. Okay, this is a Stanley steamer, and many of you guys will probably never see this car ever. Imagine having one of those. Okay, next up is the rotary engine. They were first called the Wankel engine, but now they're commonly known as the rotary engine. They were found in prop-driven airplanes, and instead of an up and down motion, they have this kind of spinning motion. They're super light, but they use a lot of gas. Not many vehicles are produced with this engine, but Mazda still keeps it alive in their RX series. Here is an example of a rotary. Here's an example of a rotary engine. This is the example of how it works. Moving on. The electric car runs solely on electricity, has motors, and then has a battery pack. There's also another variation of this, which is the electric hybrid, and that has a gas generator that powers these motors, powers the battery pack, and powers the motors into the car, so you have longer range and distance. And both these cars are brand new technology, or they're more brand new technology, and they're now up and coming, so there's not a lot of them. They're super efficient, low cost to refuel, but they're very costly to buy because they're so brand new. And last but not least is the air engine. This made its first debut in France of last year, so it's actually it's not brand new technology, but it's brand new for the car market. It goes 200 kilometers on a single fill and costs about $2 to fill up, so imagine the savings. It's not an ICE engine, and it only uses compressed air. It's really eco-friendly. Out on the market, it requires very little maintenance because there's no really moving parts. Here's a picture of it from the inventor. As you can tell, this car will never make it to America because of the safety issues, and if someone were to hit you, you would probably die. So it's going to make its way to Mexico, and hopefully the designer says he's going to try to make it come here, but we'll see. Alright, so the last and final part of my speech, why are the other engines not in the top three? Well, it's quite easy. Turbine engine is made for jets and helicopters. It idles at 30,000 RPMs. So imagine you be using a lot of fuel, and I guess it just doesn't make the cost for the customer. I guess it just doesn't get the play out in the marketing. The next is the steam engine. It was replaced by ICE engines due to cost. I have an example. The Stanley steamer back in the day cost about $3,950, which today is $50,748, or you could buy a Model T internal combustion engine back in the day for $500. So you would save about $2,500 on the cost. So therefore, they're not used. Electric and electric hybrid are both expensive now, but in the future they should be going down in price. There's not a big range on it, so a lot of people don't buy it. There's not a big bang for their buck as well. An air car requires you to plug into an air station and haul a high-powered compressor. It's new technology. It's not very efficient. There's huge safety concerns, and it's just brand new. So in conclusion, I hope that today I informed you about different engines that are out in production cars today. And hopefully, just to let you know that you're not restrained to gasoline or diesel or hybrid, that there's other engines out there, and you just got to look for them. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, Josh, what did you think?
I think he had good eye contact. He wasn't being off any cars, which was really nice. I think the topic is very relevant, especially with gas prices rising. He had good demonstrations of the combustion steam engine on the slide. I think he had a bit too much text, stuff that you're already reading to us anyways, and you were kind of quickly changing through a lot of those slides, not letting us see for very long. Well organized, and I thought the air part was pretty interesting too, especially rising gas prices.
All right, I'll agree with you about a lot of things out there. There's one definite thing that I'm not going to agree with you on, and I'll get to that in just a second. You need a better opening. The personal greeting, the introduction, and the statement of your topic sounds like it's, one of those things that we talked about not doing. Hi, I'm Drake, and I'm going to talk about cars. And then you ask kind of this rhetorical question. The rhetorical question should have been your attention device. That's how you should have started. And I think that would have worked better. You have a preview, but it's not really a very clear statement of what your goal is. I know I'm going to get a whole bunch of stuff here, and I think that you need to have a clear goal for yourself. The setup of the preview suggests that it's going to be structured, and this is where I'm disagreeing with Josh, because once you get to the body of the speech, it just seems to be next, 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 next. You're zipping through a bunch of subtopics which don't always seem connected to each other. The first section, where you're talking about the different internal combustion engines, okay, I can see that there's a connection between those, but everything else, it just boom, 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 and I think you need to reorganize the material, and you need to edit it. You need to take out a couple of things. There are easy ways to group these things. For instance, past technology, current technology, future technology would be the simplest way of doing this without even thinking hard about it. You can talk about the past technology, start with those things. You got your Stanley Steamer clip. And you can talk about all those other kinds of things, get them out of the way, then talk about the internal combustion engine and variations of the different kinds of engines that are there. You mention a couple of them that come in and go out so quickly that I'm not even sure people understand what they represent. The rotary engine, you even had a clip on that's animated and it's got stuff on it, but before we even get a chance to look up and look at it, it's gone again. And that's one of the problems that I think maybe you're trying to do too much here. You need to have a little bit more control and focus over the material. And so it's the organizational issues that I think are problematic, and I think you need to take some material out because you just don't have time to cover it all. And I'd agree with Josh, there's a lot of stuff on some of the slides that's just, this is all data that you're talking about. We don't need to have that on the slide. What we need on the images are things that are going to explain the things that you're talking about. It's a long speech. It's 9 minutes and 30 seconds, so you've definitely gone over time. There aren't any source citations. The visuals, like I said, there are some of them that were great. I like the idea of the animated visuals that you've got in the picture, or excuse me, in your slide presentation, but you don't do anything with them. You just kind of put them up and then move them off. I like the short clip that you had of the Stanley Steamer to illustrate what was going on. The language in explaining it needs to be a little bit smoother. The transitions between points needs to be smoother. It sounds like a laundry list rather than a speech. And that's the problem. But I thought you did speak enthusiastically, maybe a little frenetically, and that was a bit of an issue too. All right, thank you.